Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Amita Rari, and coming up at today's newscast, the clock is ticking and large Israeli aid units already on their way to Turkey. Meantime, organizers of the protest against the government's proposed judicial reform threatening to shut down the economy next week. And later, will robots soon have all human senses? Israeli researchers know the answer. It's a race against time. Desperate and cold survivors in Turkey are waiting up to a third disaster morning, with some waiting near the collapsed buildings to hear from their relatives trapped under rubble, with thousands pronounced dead. Days are going by and the clock is ticking. The official death toll of the devastating earthquake in Turkey and Syria jumping to more than 8,700 people today, as overwhelmed rescuers warned that the numbers would grow significantly, with families still trapped under the rubble.
Memleketimiz gitti. Yağmurda kaldık. Stakya'da yatırıyoruz. Yok bir sıcak çay, yok bir şeyimiz. Şu rezilliğimize bak. Allah yardım edin, kurban olduğum Allah.
The devastating earthquake on the night between Sunday and Monday being one of the strongest earthquakes measured in the world in recent years, and the strongest in the Middle East and Turkey since 1939. Since then, Turkey being hit by more than 180 aftershocks, with some being well felt in our region too. Turkey announcing yesterday that more than 8,000 people have so far been rescued from the ruins of the thousands of collapsed buildings, and around 380,000 displaced people have been evacuated. They gathered in shopping malls, stadiums, mosques, and community centers, with not everyone having the opportunity to evacuate, as many spending last night under the open sky and in front of bonfires. Some left homeless and others afraid to return home, fearing the possibility of another earthquake. Yesterday, Turkish President Erdogan stated that of Turkey's 85 million inhabitants, more than 13 million were affected in some way by the earthquake, and declared a state of emergency in 10 districts. Meanwhile, many testimonies of angry Turks in some of the epicenters being published in the international media. The extent of the disaster and the weather conditions prevent rescuers from reaching all the settlements, and some residents whose relatives need rescue try to clear the ruins themselves, with no positive outcome. With worry and panic in his eyes, 25-year-old Syrian man Yusuf has been waiting for 2 days for news of his family members who are trapped under the rubble of a building in Aleppo.
صار لي يومين نقط الهزة لهلا عم بستنى أهلي أبوي وأمي وأخوي وأختي وابن أختي. ولحتى الآن ما بين شيء عنهم لحتى الآن.
بس عم تحكي معهم؟
حكيت معهم وسمعت صوتهم. بس للأسف الشديد يعني مثل ما شايفين هون يعني بطيئين بالشغل وما عندهم هلا المعدات الزيادة.
This horrific disaster is expected to have many more after effects, as citizens of Turkey, Syria, and the whole world are looking at the region with hope, praying only for the best. In its first day on the ground in Turkey, the IDF rescue team pulled 2 people out of the earthquake rubble. 2 large Israeli search and rescue teams are now operating in earthquake-stricken Turkey, and an IDF field hospital is on the way. ILTV Steve Leibovich reports.
Video distributed by the IDF showed Israeli and other rescue teams pulling a person, seemingly a child, down a hole in the ceiling of a building damaged in the earthquake. The Israeli team also pulled another person from under the ruins, while other members of the team used a dog to search through the rubble. The team reached the city of Adana after delays caused by damaged roads and harsh weather conditions, and immediately got to work. The IDF announced that it is sending an additional 230 medical professionals to establish a field hospital. The hospital will complement the work of the 150-member search and rescue team already in Adana. The delegation of medical and logistic corps troops will treat victims of the earthquake. The delegation includes military medics and health ministry doctors, nurses, and paramedics. An Israeli aid and rescue unit organized by United Hatzalah has also arrived in Turkey, in Gaziantep, one of the cities hardest hit by the tremors. The group includes dozens of doctors, medics, rescue workers, and trauma specialists. The United Hatzalah delegation unexpectedly landed next to an Iranian military plane. A Isra Aid team joined United Hatzalah to assist in the establishment of its base camp.
The stories keep on coming from the horrific disaster, the devastating earthquakes in Turkey, and now the head of a small Turkish Jewish community and his wife being feared dead after their apartment building collapsed on Monday. On Tuesday, search and rescue personnel were attempting to locate Shaul and Fortuna among the ruins of their house in the southern Turkish town of Antakya. Although they had not been officially pronounced dead, it's still being assumed they were killed. Antakya is a small town in the capital of the Hatay region bordering northwest Syria and is the worst-hit province in Turkey with at least 872 people killed and is also a home to a tiny Jewish community for 2,500 years. Leading rabbi in the Turkish Jewish community, Mendel Shitrik, tweeted a video of himself and others helping to save ancient Torah scrolls from the heavily damaged synagogue of Antakya, with others very sadly calling it the end of a 2,500-year-old love story. Rabbi Shitrik further continuing to report that, as far as he knows, there are no other fatalities or missing people among Turkish Jewish communities, though some were rescued from collapsed buildings. And joining us live from Turkey now is Foreign Ministry representative in the rescue mission to Turkey, Alon Lavi. Alon, we appreciate you're here with us. I know it's not easy. How is it there? What do you see in your eyes?
It's a very complicated situation, I would say. We see collapsed buildings. We see a lot of human suffer around us. We see people that lost their dear ones. We see people that lost their houses. And obviously, what warms our heart is to see the Israeli delegation, the Israeli IDF delegation working very, very hard in order to try and rescue as many souls as they can.
It was just released in the media now that you saved 2 people now. Is that correct?
Correct. The Israeli delegation led by the Home Front command was able to rescue additional 2 lives after assisting and rescuing some others during the night. And it's absolutely pleasing to see, all the efforts come into materialization and being able to help people.
Now, the team has now gotten to work. What are the top priorities now?
We have 3 main parts that we're working. The first one, and most urgently and most importantly, is obviously the rescue mission. This is what the delegation is doing now. In addition to that, we are establishing a field hospital, and that's now the second goal that we're working upon. And thirdly, it will be all the humanitarian aid that we would like to assist and to provide to Turkey, and that will be the third effort that we're going to do here in Turkey.
Does the team seem optimistic that they can still save people 3 days after being buried in the rubble? It's really hard.
Yes, there are some signals that still we have survivors inside the rubble. Obviously, as time goes by, it's getting harder and harder, and everybody's aware of it. But this is why they're working night and day. They haven't stopped since they arrived here, and we hope that we'll be able to save more lives.
Alon, you mentioned the Israeli Army field hospitals earlier. How many injured patients will it be able to deal with?
We are doing it together with locals. I'm not sure that I'm able to provide the details now, but obviously it will be with intensive care units and other units in order to provide services and in order to provide the medical care that is so needed in an area that was affected so badly. And in addition, remember that the hospitals here also were affected. So we hope that would support the local population.
Absolutely. So it seems like it's just the beginning. But how long do you expect the Israeli team will need to be there? Will be there actually on the ground?
We are staying here until it's needed. So obviously the rescue part will finish before the field hospital. But after that, we'll continue with humanitarian aid. So I'm sure that our presence here will continue for the near future.